Good morning, Southeast. I hope you are doing well. This last Sunday was just a great Sunday. Of course, we gathered for worship. We had a baptism. In the evening, we had trunk or treat. It was just a great time to be together as a church family. So I hope you were able to participate in some of that, if not all of it. Just, again, great Sunday, praising God for what he's doing in and through the church. We talked about discipleship on Sunday. And of course, we looked at belong, transform, proclaim. Like that's kind of the journey that a lot of people experience, is that they begin to follow Jesus. They're curious about Jesus. They are introduced to Jesus. And then as they follow him, he transforms their life. They start loving the things that he loves. They start rejecting the things that he rejects. They start just following him as the way, the truth, and the life. Of course, no one comes to the Father except through him. But that's our journey. And then after a little while, we start proclaiming, right? Like, I've been forgiven so much, how can I not forgive others? And so we talked about that very briefly, but then underneath that is what the core of the Christian life is really all about, what discipleship is all about. And it's very much losing our life and giving it to Christ. It's surrendering everything that we are to him. Jesus says it this way in Matthew 16, 24 through 25. It says, "Then Jesus told his disciples, 'If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it.'" That is discipleship. That is the Christian life, is taking up the cross and following Christ. Wherever he may lead you. And that's so counterintuitive to the world. The world is very much bigger, stronger, faster. What can you do for me? Kind of being assertive and being strong and all these things. But what we recognize is that in the kingdom, it's an upside down kingdom. The first will be last and the last will be first. It's a kingdom where God has a special place for the weak, the disenfranchised, the outsider, and he brings them into his kingdom. He says that you are mine. And so in the kingdom, we look at weakness and we say that's where God displays his power, is in our weaknesses. I'm reminded of 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 through 10. This is Paul asking God to remove the thorn in his flesh, but God's response to Paul was this. He says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong." That's the Christian life. It's not what we do for the kingdom. It's what God does in and through us. It's being a vessel for his strength, for his power, that we ask him to fill us with his spirit, that we might be ambassadors for his kingdom. And again, it's not about what we can do. It's what God does in and through us. And of course, though, this means that, we go through difficult times, as Paul says in weakness, insults, hardships, persecutions, calamities. I love that word, calamities. Who hasn't been through a calamity? And so we hold on to the passages that we recognize that the brokenness of this world, the things that we've done, the things that have been done to us, the hardships that we're going through, is that God is using that in so many different ways in our lives. One is when we are going through suffering, when we are going through difficulty, it connects us with Jesus' suffering on the cross. Somehow, some way, there's a closeness, there's a richness, if we allow him to. Of course, we have a choice when we're going through difficulty. We can allow it to become bitter in our hearts, or we can allow it to draw us closer to God. And that's what my hope and prayer for you is, that when you are going through difficulties, when you are going through tribulations, that we posture ourselves in humility and say, okay, how is this bringing me closer to Christ? How is this connecting me to share in his sufferings? So that's one way that God uses our sufferings. But then the other way is as we're going through suffering, and we have the peace that transcends understanding. We have the peace that only God can give through his spirit to us. Other people see that and they recognize that, and oftentimes, sometimes they say, I want what you have. But also it's one of those things where we can speak into other people's lives as they're going through trials, as they're going through tribulations. And so one of the passages that I have held on to for the past year, just so close to my heart, is found in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. It says, "So we do not lose heart, though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light, momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal." And so that's what we do when we're going through tribulation and we're going through trial. We're recognizing that we're dying to self. We're taking up our cross. We're following him. But as we're following him, all the suffering, all the tribulation, somehow, some way is connecting us to Christ's sufferings on the cross, and that he will not abandon us, that he will see us through. And one day this suffering is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. So my encouragement to you today is, don't give up. Take up your cross and follow him. Keep looking to him, the author and perfecter of our faith. Again, don't give up. So what's next then? So this coming Sunday, it's one of my favorite Sundays of the year. Of course, they're all my favorite Sundays of the year because I just love getting together with the church, with the body. But this Sunday, we call it Southeast Sunday, and it's a day where we kind of celebrate what God has done, where we look back over the last year and we see where God has brought us, and then we also look forward, like where it seems like God is leading us as a church, as a congregation. And so you don't want to miss that. That's going to be a great time of celebration and reflection. And then coming up, we have our annual meeting. So this Sunday is Southeast Sunday. Following the worship service, about 10 minutes after, we will have our pre-annual meeting. So there's a lot of questions. There could be a lot of questions about the budget, about new elders, all those things. So encourage you after the worship service on Sunday, if you have any questions about the direction of the church or anything like that, feel free to stick around, and the elders and I will be available to answer questions. But then on the 9th is our annual meeting, and that's in the sanctuary. It's about 10 minutes after the service, and that's where we approve the budget or disapprove the budget. That's where we affirm or not affirm elders. And so if you are a member of Southeast Christian Church, then we would invite you to come and participate in the annual meeting. Another thing that's happening on that day, on the 9th, is we're going to start a 2-week sermon series. Just 2 weeks, we're going to just talk about what happens when you die. And so we're going to talk about heaven and eternity and all those things, because I know a lot of people are curious. Also, coming up, I want to make sure that you know about this. Circle these things on your calendar. Of course, we have a lot of events that are happening over the next couple of weeks as we close out the year. But these 2 events I want to make sure that you know about. The first one is on the 14th, and that's the Women's Soup. It's more than soup, though. Of course, the gathering together, eating, fellowshipping together. But Gracie is going to be giving the talk for that. And we've got music planned, so it's just going to be a night, hopefully, that just blesses the women. So if you are a woman, I encourage you to go sign up for that. That's on the 14th. And then also another one of our favorite things that happens in November is our annual Thanksgiving potluck, and that is on the 23rd at 5 p.m. So be sure to look for signups in the lobby for that. Southeast, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and God bless you, and I will see you on Sunday.